Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, Kentucky Derby qualifying points on the line in Saturday's feature race at Aqueduct. Let's throw up the field for the Grade 3 Gotham. We're going a one-turn mile, $300,000 is the purse, and these horses I think are still trying to find their way on the Kentucky Derby trail. Many of these horses, I have a feeling, might end up turning back in distance as we get deeper into the year.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that right now. Obviously, a lot can change, and it can change very quickly with the three-year-olds at this time of year. But when I looked at this race, I didn't feel like I was looking at a bunch of Derby horses.
We are looking at a bunch of fast horses, and Time Form US believes that this pace could be sharp. Red bar scenario, that means it's a fast pace. The 10 Untitled, he has a lot of speed. The 7 Sixto is stretching out in distance. I'm not sure if Sixto is going to be on the lead, but I think if I'm Kendrick Carmouche and I'm on Mischievous Alex, the likely favorite, I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think the pace projection for the Swale was sort of similar, where they didn't have him up there on the pace. I think he was even further back in that race, but he's just a fast horse, and I expect Carmouche to be sending him.
Number 1, Celtic Striker, is a pretty fast horse in his own right. He's won 2 out of his last 3 races, both of them in gate-to-wire fashion, but he's likely going to be facing faster fractions than he's ever faced before, and much tougher competition. Let's watch his last race at Parks. This was a nice drop down in class from the Jerome. It's a non-winners of one other than optional. He's getting blinkers for the first time. He faces a pretty strong challenge in the stretch, and he gets away again. Nice effort for this horse, but you get the feeling that they tested him in the Jerome and he was found wanting.
Yeah, I have no problem with this race. He got to the lead, and actually it was nice to see him make the lead here even after he lunged pretty badly at the start. It's not like he broke like a rocket, but he made the lead. He turned away a heavy favorite there in the stretch. I liked that effort just fine, but it's hard to have a lot of confidence in him when they step him back up. In the Jerome, and maybe that was just a better field and a better horse in an Independence Hall, but he was no match.
The number 2 is Informative, and maybe Informative isn't good enough to win this race, but I think he's a lot better than he looks on paper. That James F. Lewis 3 starts back, I don't think it was a good trip. He didn't get out of the gate very well. He tried to split horses on the far turn, back to the rail, altered course. He was moving. I like that race so much, I wanted to play him in the Remsen at 41-1, and considering the way the racetrack played that day, he was not embarrassed to finish 4th. He made his seasonal debut back in a maiden special weight at Aqueduct on February the 8th. I thought he ran really well again. He's in the yellow mic, he's in behind horses, he's got to, again, move sideways at a crucial moment. He looked good.
Yeah, I mean, he ran well in this race. After he stumbled at the start, he got a very good trip, saving ground, sitting in behind the lead, but you saw him have to wait there for the runner-up Constitution to have to, clear him before he could alter the outside. I don't like the way he came and ran that horse down. The horse that he's beating here was a heavy favorite in there, and that horse is pretty good.
That horse is pretty good. We'll talk about him a little bit more. Informative bullet workout out of that race. Again, he's likely going to be outrun through some fast fractions. I wouldn't be surprised if he picks up some pieces, maybe makes your superfecta. The 3 is War Stopper. Rudy Rodriguez is very sharp. He put blinkers on this horse last time out. War Stopper was very sharp from start to finish. Let's watch the one-turn mile at the Big A on January the 11th, and the race is already over.
Yeah, I mean, he just walked right to the front in this race, had real easy speed, got clear early, and he just never gave this field a chance, Dan. He just airs on them in the stretch. It comes back with a very big figure. Even his dirt debut, 2 starts back, he may not look that great on paper. He did not have a very good trip in that race. He ran a lot better than it was.
And the horse that's chasing him, very gamely down to the wire. That's that continuation who came back and just got nipped by Informative in his most recent start. Up from Florida is Attachment Rate, who seems to be improving with each and every start for Dale Romans. He scored going a one-turn mile last time out. The situation might be a little bit different in New York on Saturday. Just take a look at this replay. They're running through a monsoon. He got a great trip down towards the inside. He doesn't change leads in the stretch, but he got a fig. He's getting better, and he's going to get a pace set up on Saturday.
Yeah, all those things are positives for him. I like the move that he made on the turn in this race to take this thing over. And you see him, even though he doesn't change leads, Dan, he's not stopping through the stretch. He runs right through the wire. Actually felt like he ran well 2 starts back, too. He just kept making up ground on a pretty highly regarded Pletcher horse who's running in the Tampa Bay Derby also on Saturday. So this horse coming in here on a little bit of a roll right now.
Necker Island won 2 races in a row for Stan Huff at Churchill Downs last year at 2. I thought he did some good things in that race over a sloppy track. He was very game to win it. I think that Silver State still has some promise down the road. He ran in the Swale, though, and it just didn't work out for him that day. Maybe he needed one off the layoff. Stan Huff is a really good trainer. His horse has been working fast, but he's going to have to improve.
Yeah, he's going to have to take a big step forward in here. I respect that he's already won over a one-turn mile, but both of his wins have been races where he just was able to get right up on the pace. And in particular, that one-turn mile at Churchill in the slop, they just didn't go a fast pace in that race. They're going to go a fast pace in this race.
Mischievous Alex has won his last 2 races by a combined 16 3/4 lengths. He got on our radar with that win in the Parks Juvenile going 7 furlongs because he destroyed a pretty decent group of horses that day. He shows up in the Grade 3 Swale, and at 9-2, listen, he made 9-2 look easy. Let's turn into the stretch, and Mischievous Alex has just taken over this thing. He's going to be a little green in the stretch. He's going to pop back to his left lead when he's hit right-handed, but ever since John Service put the blinkers on this horse, he's been a different animal.
True enough. He's really come into his own in his last 2 starts, but he was good in his prior 3 dirt starts, too. I mean, he's shown ability from day one. His last 2 races are just really good. I love the ride that he got in the Swale. Breaking from the rail, Irad Ortiz just sent him up the inside. He knew he was going to have to contest the pace. He did it. But he just put those horses away. Really impressive win. I'm not worried about the one-turn mile, are you?
Not at all. I think the one-turn mile is probably going to be where he's going to end up in his career.
Yeah.
6 furlongs to a mile, maybe a one-turn mile and a 16th down the road. And his speed, you're going to know him early. The 7 is Sixto, and we're not worried about the one-turn mile for this horse. We were worried about him going 6 furlongs in his debut, considering his pedigree. So were the bettors. He was 13-1. Sixto in the blue hat is in 3rd. He has some work to do, but with this kind of pedigree, he's by Curlin. He's a half to Catch My Drift, who just wanted to run all day long. He's going to grind this field down. Yeah,
I mean, he's the longest shot on the board in this race. I think maybe because they just, it's Gio firsters, they don't win a lot, but maybe they were just concerned this was going to be too short for him. But came with a lot of momentum here at the end of the race, and he's clear under the wire. A couple of horses have exited this race to win. I guess that's a good sign. They're stepping way up here. The mile is supposed to be good for this horse. More distance is supposed to be better for him. And I thought his debut was actually pretty good.
One of those next out winners, a Chad Brown train runner, dropped down to the $50,000 maiden claimer, won by a country mile, got a big 82 Beyer speed figure. Montauk Traffic is next, and this is another horse that distance is going to be okay for him. He's by Cross Traffic. His dam was a nice horse going long, Taittinger Rose. Let's watch his win in the Jimmy Winkfield Stakes last time out, going 7 furlongs. I think it was a really good learning experience for him, Mike.
Yeah, I do too. He's down on the inside right now. He's taking a lot of dirt, but he's fine with it. He's running through it. They're going to angle him to the outside here. I like the run he puts in. He just sort of runs right by this field. Another horse who doesn't change leads in the stretch, but it's just not going to matter. He's too much for this field. I didn't think this Winkfield was the toughest field in the world. I still like the race that he ran. It's 2 good races in a row for this horse. And from a pace dynamic, he fits this race really well.
And in his maiden race 2 starts back, he showed a lot of agility, the same amount of agility he showed here. Didn't break very well, in behind horses. For a second, Jose Lezcano didn't know where to go. Alters course sharply up the rail and finishes it off. I think a mile's okay for Montauk Traffic. His pace scenario will be good for him. Now he has to improve against better horses. Flapjack is the number 9. This is a horse that's only raced once on dirt in his career. He faced a good field at Ellis Park that day. Ever since that race, they moved him to turf. They've moved him to synthetic. I thought he looked pretty good winning the Arlington Washington Futurity last time out. The problem is that race was in September.
Yeah, it's a while ago. Both of his, I think the 2 races that look good on his page are on alternate surfaces, one on turf and then one on synthetic. But I agree with you. I thought he looked really good winning that race last time. His turf race was actually good too, and that was another good field. The horse that ran 3rd in there is actually a really nice turf horse for Godolphin. If you look at his dirt race, I can understand if you just look at it and say, well, he didn't run as well on dirt, but you have to watch that race, I think. I mean, he was off it. He made a big 4-wide run on the turn. He got right there with a look at it and just tired late. He actually ran in that race. He's going to be a huge price in this race, Dan. It's probably too tough a spot for him. This horse is okay.
I also think the distance of the debut effort was a little bit short for him, and I think he's bred for dirt. He's by the Preakness winner Oxbow. The stand was stakes placed going a mile on the dirt. Again, it's a big ask off the layoff. Very good trainer. It could certainly spice up your exotics. Let's talk about Untitled. He's just on a Kozan who was really hot early with his 2-year-olds. I wonder if the Kozans are going to be those precocious 2-year-olds. Maybe they catch up to him when they get older, but he looked really good winning his debut with a 98 Beyer speed figure, privately purchased after that race. Beaten favorite against Mischievous Alex, so they didn't get a great start and couldn't get to his usual forward position. And then last time out, they tried 2 turns and they just happened to catch a really nice Kentucky Derby prospect in Governor Morris. Let's watch the final 1/8 of a mile in the Tampa Bay race. It's a non-winners of one other than. He made the front. It was a nice, easy enough trip. This Governor Morris, though, is grade 1 place, and something tells me we're going to be hearing a lot from him.
Yeah, he's a nice horse. Untitled was able to clear to the lead relatively easily in this race, but always tracked by a real good horse. And he's just second best here, Dan. I think it's worth pointing out that was on pretty short rest. They rushed this horse back into the entries to get that race into him. His swale two back, he just didn't break. He got bumped between horses at the start. I just thought he wound up in a bad position. And all in all, he was no match for Mischievous Alex, but I didn't think he ran poorly in that race at all. They're coming back quickly again in this race relatively. They're asking a lot of this horse, but I kind of like that. He showed that he could run in his debut.
Timeform US has him on the lead. Would you ride him that way, knowing that Mischievous Alex is likely going to be forward? Do you want to sit off that horse and maybe test him on the turn? Or do you want to just take the race, play a game of chicken from the start, and maybe make that horse take a seat?
I don't know. I'd be on a dead send with him, but I'd come out of there running and get forward. If Mischievous Alex is going for the lead, you're drawn outside the horse. You can just sit to his outside and turn it into a race.
Completing the field is the 11 First Deputy, 30-1 on the morning line. New York bred facing Open Company for the first time. It's a big ask, but this horse is sharp for Linda Rice. Let's watch his most recent race on January the 23rd. He makes it 2 in a row in this New York bred non-winners of one other than. He's striking the front right now. He is a horse that would benefit from a pace. And looking at his pedigree, listen, a mile shouldn't be an issue at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. I respect the fact that he's really improved in his recent races. I can't say I'm a huge fan of his, but he has really come forward recently. And when Linda Rice steps horses, it's not something she does that often. When she steps horses up like this, if she's going to actually run this horse here, I could take at least a second look. I can't say I love him in this race.
Let's take a look at our top pick in the Grade 3 Gotham. I think we both feel that Untitled's going to be at his best sprinting and at middle distances. I like this outside post. It gives the jockey options. He's going to be forwardly placed. I wonder at the end of the Gotham if we look at each other and say, the biggest winner of the Gotham was Governor Morris.
You know what? That would be actually a very valid point. I'm just very interested to see what Untitled does. Again, I like that they're asking a lot of him. They keep racing him like they think there's something there, and I like that he's drawn outside. I am not way against Mischievous Alex. I think he's a very dangerous horse in here. I'm going to try and beat him with this.
Listen, his last 2 lines speak for himself, Mischievous Alex. Very, very impressive graded stakes winner. 10-3-6-4 for me, 10-6-9-3 for Mike. It's the Grade 3 Gotham. We're on the road to the Kentucky Derby in New York, and as an approximate post time on Saturday, 5:42 Eastern. Good luck.